In the 1970s, a psychologist ran an experiment that most people have never heard of. She took a group of women who had all left abusive relationships and tracked what happened next. Within 2 years, over 60% of them were in new relationships, with partners who displayed the same patterns as the ones they'd left. Different faces, same behavior, same pain. The researchers were stunned. The women weren't stupid. They weren't weak. Something deeper was operating. Something beneath conscious choice that kept steering them toward the same wound. Jung identified that something decades before this study existed. He called it the shadow. And it's running your relationships right now, whether you know it or not. These are 7 truths Jung uncovered about why people keep hurting you, and why they'll never stop until you see what's actually happening. Truth 1. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you haven't healed. Jung observed that the unconscious doesn't care about your preferences. It cares about completion. If there's a wound from your past that never got resolved, a parent who was emotionally unavailable, a childhood where love had to be earned, a moment where you learned that people leave, your unconscious will keep placing you in situations that recreate that wound. Not to punish you, to give you another chance to face it. But if you never face it, the cycle just repeats. New person, same dynamic, same ending. And every time you say, "Why does this keep happening to me?" the answer is the same. Because something inside you keeps choosing the familiar wound over the unfamiliar peace. Truth 2. People don't hurt you because of who you are. They hurt you because of who they haven't become. Jung called it shadow projection. Every person carries parts of themselves they refuse to acknowledge. Jealousy, insecurity, cruelty, inadequacy. Instead of facing those parts, they project them outward. The friend who calls you selfish is avoiding their own selfishness. The partner who accuses you of not caring is deflecting from their own emotional unavailability. The co-worker who undermines you is threatened by something in themselves they can't admit. Their attack has almost nothing to do with you. It's an internal war that you happen to walk into. And the moment you understand that, really understand it, not as a concept, but as something you feel in your body when someone comes at you, their words lose the power to define you. You stop absorbing the blow and start seeing it for what it is. A confession disguised as a criticism. Truth 3. Your strongest emotional reactions are maps to your deepest wounds. When someone says something small and it hits you like a freight train, that disproportion is the signal. Jung called these complexes. Clusters of emotion attached to old experiences that get activated by present triggers. The criticism that levels you isn't devastating because of what was said. It's devastating because it sounds exactly like something you heard at 7 years old from someone whose opinion built the foundation of how you see yourself. The trigger is new, the wound is ancient, and until you trace the reaction back to its real source, you'll keep blaming the person in front of you for pain they didn't create. Truth 4. How someone responds to your boundary tells you everything their words never will. A boundary is not a wall. It's a test, the most honest test of someone's character you'll ever find. When you tell someone what you need and they adjust, that's respect. When you tell someone what you need and they argue, guilt you, dismiss it, or go quiet until you take it back, that's the truth they've been hiding behind every kind word they've ever said to you. Jung understood that people reveal their shadow, not in how they treat you when things are easy, but in how they respond when you ask for something that costs them. That moment, the moment your need becomes inconvenient, is where the mask falls. Watch for it. It will save you years. Truth 5. People can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. This is the truth that hurts the most because it's the one you can't fix. You can love someone with everything you have, and they will still be incapable of meeting you there. Not because they don't care, but because they haven't done the work of going inward. Jung wrote that the depth of a person's relationship with others mirrors the depth of their relationship with themselves. A person who hasn't faced their own shadow, their own pain, their own unconscious patterns will always be limited in what they can offer you. And no amount of patience, love, or understanding on your part will take them deeper than they're willing to go alone. You can't heal someone into being ready for you. Truth 6. The person who hurt you the worst was playing a role your wound assigned them. This isn't about excusing anyone's behavior. It's about understanding why that specific person was able to get that deep. Jung believed that the unconscious selects partners and close relationships based on unfinished psychological business. The emotionally unavailable person you fell in love with. Your unconscious recognized them immediately, not as dangerous, but as familiar. And familiar to the unconscious feels like home, even when home was a place that hurt you. That's why logic doesn't stop the pattern. You can know someone is wrong for you and still feel pulled toward them, with a force that rational thought can't override. Because the pull isn't coming from your mind, it's coming from a wound that's still looking for the ending it never got. Truth 7. What you refuse to feel will control every relationship you have. Jung said it plainly. What you resist persists. The grief you won't process. The anger you keep swallowing. The sadness you've convinced yourself you've moved past. None of it disappears. It just goes underground. And from underground, it runs everything. Who you're attracted to, what you tolerate, when you explode, why you shut down. Every emotion you refuse to feel becomes an invisible hand on the steering wheel of your life. You think you're making free choices. You're not. You're making choices that keep you as far away from the unfelt feeling as possible. And that avoidance shapes your relationships more than any decision you've ever made consciously. These 7 truths aren't comfortable. They shift the weight from "people keep hurting me" to "I keep participating in my own pain." And that's a heavier thing to carry. But it's also the only thing that actually changes the pattern. Because here's what Jung understood that most people don't want to accept. You can't control other people. You will never stop every person from lying to you, disappointing you, or letting you down. That's human nature. What you can do is become so aware of your own patterns, your own wounds, your own unconscious programming, that the old tricks stop working. The familiar pain stops feeling like home. The red flag stops looking like excitement. The person who would have destroyed you 3 years ago becomes someone you can see clearly and walk away from before the cycle starts. Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. These 7 truths are how you make it conscious. Not all at once, not painlessly, but permanently. What happens after that is no longer fate, it's choice. And choice, real choice, made by a person who finally sees what they've been doing and why, is the one thing the pattern cannot survive.